going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of Get Bucked. I'm your host, Ryan, and as usual, I get to be joined by my co-host, Jackson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I agree with that guy in the chat who's kind of spamming us right now. Always nice to have fans, though. I do like the old countdown better.
Yeah, the old countdown. They changed the music on us. That is not my fault. I certainly had nothing to do with that. But yeah, we got a bit of a different show today. We're getting closer to the Derby. This is kind of one of those, I would say, lower weeks in the days leading up and the months leading up to the Derby. There's just kind of the Tampa Bay Derby going on this weekend. It drew a field, I believe, of 7. We got the return of Chance McPatrick. We have Hill Road, who ran a good third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But aside from that, we'll be covering that tomorrow on Big Hoof Energy. Jackson, myself, and Kaylee in the cross country pick 5. Excuse me. So that'll be going on tomorrow night. But today, Jackson, you and me, we threw together a top 10 of our Kentucky Derby hopefuls and our Kentucky Derby picks. So we're going to go through those just one by one and see what we do here. I'll take that off for now. But I mean, yeah, you know what? Obviously, you're excited about it. Do you have recency bias in your top 10, or what was kind of the leading edge to your decision?
I mean, yes, but the horses that ran this past weekend have also been the fastest that we've seen up to this point. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of chat about that online. That recency bias. But yeah, the fastest horses just ran by all the metrics you want to use. So it kind of makes sense to put them at the very top because they're clearly the ones to be up to this point.
It does. And worth mentioning, I'm sure you're going to flame me for my top 10 pick, for my number 10 pick, because it's a horse that has yet to actually face winners or go around 2 turns. I'll throw it up on the screen now.
It is.
At number 10, I have Cornucopian. And Jackson, you have the returning Chance McPatrick, who will come back this Saturday in the Tampa Bay Derby. I'll let you lead this one off.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going through the Derby standings and like the point system and the kind of odds, and I really didn't know who to pick for my 10th horse, and I kind of finally settled on him just because, his resume as a whole is pretty good. I have no idea what happened in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was really, really bad. I know he didn't get any kind of setup, but he also didn't really put in a run. Like Hill Road was also in the same race on Saturday, ran way better than he did with a very similar trip. But Chancer's resume overall is a lot better. I think I trust Chad Brown to get him going in the right direction again. And if he has taken a step forward from 2 to 3, then why can't he make some noise in here? We're going to find out a lot more on Saturday. He could very quickly drop off my list, or he can move up pretty highly too if he runs pretty well on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I have Chancer a little bit higher up on my board, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I have Cornucopian at number 10. That debut with the 106 Spire, which is the second fastest any horses ran up to this point. And our sports betting degenerate friend Noah Maher's in the chat, 15-1 at Caesars. This horse has never faced winners, has never gone around 2 turns. That's an absurd. I would never take that. I know, Jackson, I don't think you're a big Derby futures guy, unless the price is absolutely right. And I'm sure we'll get to that with one of your Derby contender picks because it was one you thought about a little bit. But to continue, Cornucopian, I'm not going to put him higher than 10 because all the others have beat winners. All the others are stakes faced. All the others have run, competitive buyers, and they all have reason to be ahead of Cornucopian. However, that was a very, dazzling debut, for lack of a better term. So, he landed at number 10. I hope he, I don't know, Santa Anita Derby or Arkansas Derby, whatever they do with him. It'll be fun to see.
15-1 is wild.
That's ridiculous.
That is wild. If you're, I hope people are betting him at that price. That's nuts.
Someone's betting him. And what's more ridiculous? I mean, I don't know what's more ridiculous. Let's have the brief conversation. What's more ridiculous? Cornucopian right now at 15-1 off of that win, or Barnes at he was 8 or 9-1 off of just workouts in that first Derby pool. He wasn't even a named runner yet.
The workout thing is stupid. I don't care how good you're working. That's unbelievably funny.
There was an unnamed horse in the Derby future.
I don't even care if he goes off at 3 to 5 in the Kentucky Derby. It's still a bad bet 8-1
yes.
for an unraced horse.
Yes, it is. Even if he was worth 3.2 mil or whatever they paid. Number 9 up now. We have I have Chance McPatrick. Jackson, you have Citizen Bull. Spoiler alert for me, Citizen Bull is nowhere in my top 10. I'll let you speak your speak your selling points, I guess. So go ahead.
No, I get it. We might get some hate for having the 2-year-old champ this far down or completely off our top 10 list, but he's starting to take advantage of situation after situation after situation where he's just getting everything completely his own way. He has overcome pretty much no adversity at all. And the one race that he did have any kind of things not go his way, he was really bad in the Del Mar Futurity when he really didn't have a bad trip in that race. He broke from the outside. He was in the clear the whole time. He just didn't make the lead. He had really no excuse. So that really worries me that he couldn't overcome that trip in that race. Every single race since then, like I said, it's been kind of one of those the Bob Baffert Invitationals where he just gets the lead by default. No one presses him at all. That's not going to happen in the Kentucky Derby. We know that's not going to happen. And just based on his resume alone, he's going to be a very short price. So I have him at number 9 just because he is the true real champ. But that's kind of it. That's the only reason he's in my top 10 at all because I don't view a very serious Derby contender at this point.
Yeah, I don't either. Obviously, he's out of my top 10. You mentioned it. He's had everything his own way. Unless he proves us wrong in wherever his next start is, handling some adversity, rating his speed, doing whatever it is, showing some versatility, I guess. He's a fade for me. I have Chance McPatrick in this spot. You nailed it. If he goes back to his 2-year-old numbers, he's going to be really tough. If he takes a step forward off of his 2-year-old numbers, I'll toss the Breeders' Cup Juvenile effort. That was a weird race, and it was all completely controlled by Citizen Bull and Gaming on the front end. They just sat off each other and they went around. Gaming just almost acted like a security guard to Citizen Bull, just keeping everybody else wide. They just walked around the track, and they finished 1-2. Hill Road had an excellent run up the rail to finish a really nice third at a huge price. So he comes back for Chad Brown as well, but Hill Road also not in my Derby top 10. We'll go to number 8. I have John Hancock and Jackson. You have Hypnus. Both of these are just unique to our list. I don't have Hypnus anywhere on mine, and you don't have John Hancock anywhere on yours. I'll let you start it off.
Yeah, this is one I think we're going to have a pretty similar case here where it's both very lightly raced. I think they've both run twice, if I'm not mistaken. And, I really like Hypnus' debut. He looked really good doing it. Seemed like it was a pretty good field he beat. Came back the other day in the Rebel, and he was getting a pretty good setup, to be fair. They were going very fast up front. He was getting the run of the race. He was saving a lot of ground. But he did have a lot of trouble in the turn and in the stretch. He had to stop a couple times. I like that he was able to keep re-rallying and overcome that trouble he had. And I know he finished 6th or 7th, but again, he was still finishing very strongly at the wire. I think gapped out in front actually. And with these connections, they're gonna continue to get better. McPeak horses they improve and they improve and they improve and they improve. You pretty safely rely on him to continue to run faster and faster, which with every start. And again, he is lightly raced. There's a lot of upside here. And yeah, obviously he needs to run well in the last prep because he doesn't have any Derby points. But if you're looking at horses that are much higher in the market than, Cornucopia and a 15-1, I don't know what he is. He's probably at least 30 or 40, I'd have to imagine. I think that's a pretty decent bet.
I would say so too, because McPeak, you mentioned it. He's like training him. He trains him up really well. He knows when they have to peak and how they have to peak. So there's a chance that he's just kind of ramping up, and he's I believe he's stakes face now off his last effort. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he got thrown into was it the Rebel?
The Rebel, yeah.
Yeah. So he's faced that stakes competition, and then clearly if his next start is in the Grade 1 Arc Derby or which I assume so, or maybe the Bluegrass or wherever it might be, you got to imagine McPeak's going to have him ramped up even more. Maybe that B+ effort. Just hope to get him in the gate, and then that's where he really has him primed. Whereas some runners you might see they might peak around now, and that's not really what you want in those horses. So I went John Hancock. I thought this horse came along really nicely last time out. Really battled with Flavien Prat in the saddle last time out at Tampa Bay. I like the way this runner kind of finished off. Obviously pretty lightly raced. Has only run at Tampa. Has only run at Tampa to this point in his career in his 2 starts. But both have looked very good. He's done it very professionally, and I think he's got some room to grow. This one's out of Constitution, so I'll give him a chance to take another step forward and to progress on that. I was surprised not to see him in the Tampa Derby, though.
I was too. I was going to ask you if you know why he wasn't running on Saturday, so I guess we'll probably find out.
I don't. Another thing I don't know about horses running in the Derby or the Oaks. Why did Cipriani scratch? I have looked everywhere and I have found no reason. Our buddy Matthew DeSantis has texted me asking if I could, if I knew why, because I'm out, on the West Coast. I reached out. I can't find it. So if anybody listening happens to know why this horse scratched, I would love to know. I'm a big fan of her. Obviously, as I've said on this show multiple times, she's a Oaks pick for me, but obviously she scratched out. So that's a bit of a question mark at this point. But I would have to imagine she would have dominated that field with super speed and what is it, Masom, who ended up winning, but they were, I don't know. It didn't look like they were doing anything crazy. If Cipriani showed up with a mid-80s buyer, I feel like she would have won that.
Most likely. I'm trying to see if she would have worked out, or if she worked out over the weekend. Maybe they're just targeting a different race.
There we go. Yeah, let me know, because that wouldn't be the first time we've seen Bob do a stake scratch, and just because he feels Masom is maybe a higher thought of horse or whatever it might be, and they want to get that one some Oaks points. So whatever that might be, Jackson, I'll let you do your work as we go on to number 7. Shout out to Noah Maher with this one. I got Built 7th on my list. Jackson, you have Cole Battle, who is definitely the story of the Derby, or the road to the Derby, I should say, this far. Trained by Lonnie. He's been amazing. So go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's undefeated on the dirt. He's won 3 different ways. He's won on the lead. He's won from mid-pack, and he's won from way out of it. So gotta love that kind of versatility from this horse. Only reason I don't have him higher is he's just a little slow right now on the figures compared to some of the other ones I have in the top 5 and 6. But I mean, why can't he keep improving? He's only done it every single race he's run up to this point. So no reason why he can't do that. He's a pretty big contender as of this point.
He absolutely is. Built, yeah. This runner is one of my favorites on the Derby Trail. Obviously, our buddy Noah Maher has a pretty close connection to this horse, as I believe it's like one of his professors, and he goes to University of Kentucky and whatever. But this horse really broke his maiden nicely at Keeneland over the spring for over the fall, for Wayne Catalano. Came back pretty nicely and won, close second in, was it the Gunrunner Stakes? That was run over just a sloppy course, and it was just a mess in there. And whatever, that's right, Noah. But I mean, this horse is, no pun intended, built to go the 1.25 miles. This is kind of what the end goal is. Obviously, I think this is another one that they haven't had, with that peak effort yet. He's got some Derby points. He's well on his way into the starting gate. If he shows up really well in, I'm blanking on what the Fairgrounds biggest race is for their Derby.
Louisiana Derby.
Thank you. I was going to say the NOLA Derby, but that didn't feel right. Also, happy Mardi Gras, I guess, to anybody that celebrates. What a party. A couple of my buddies are down there right now. But, so Built, I think, decent showing in the Louisiana Derby. A third, fourth, third, second, definitely puts him in the gate with those 100-point races. And I think that's all you need. And Wayne Catalano, he absolutely knows how to train a horse, and he can definitely spring some upsets. Aloha West is the one that always comes to mind. Anytime I think of Wayne Catalano, all I can think of is Aloha West in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, beating, did Aloha West beat Gamine, or did Aloha West beat Jackie's Warrior?
Well, Jackie's Warrior ran like 8th, but Dr. Shiloh was the one that he gunned down.
Okay. Well, because they both lost. I just forgot what year that was.
It was the same year.
Okay, it was the same year.
Gamine was against the girls, though, early in the day.
I couldn't remember if Aloha West was a boy or a girl. So anyway, that's my case on Built. Somehow we got to the Breeders' Cup Sprint
from 4 years ago. Nice. That's a little tangent.
4 years ago. But that's the show. That's what we do. So
since we're going on tangents, nice exacta, by the way, at Turfway.
I know. I was gonna mention that. It's we're watching Turfway on a Wednesday. It's one of those days. But 5-horse field to kick off the day, but had the exacta cold, so that's not too bad. But we'll keep it moving. This shows what a fun one. This is a good one. All right. Number 6, I have Sandman. Jackson, you have Barnes. Barnes, obviously the $3.2 million purchase that took money as an unnamed colt that we referenced earlier in the Derby future pool, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he really hasn't done too much wrong, right? He's obviously the buzz horse of the Baffert barn. He's won 2 out of 3 starts. And, I texted you guys as soon as the race ended on Saturday saying, wow, the horse was really bad on the San Felipe. He's a total fraud, blah, 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 blah. And then I get the number comes back and it was a 105. I'm like, oh, maybe I spoke a little too soon there, because that's very, very strong. But the problem is still he had everything his own way in San Felipe. he had no excuse to lose to journalism. And I know he ran really fast again, but if he couldn't win with that trip, what scenario does he beat journalism in? Because he also had the recency edge on journalism. That's another thing where journalism is probably going to take a step forward. And now, are we really sure he wants to go a mile and a quarter? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not at this point. But he's obviously very, very talented. But I have him this low, even though he's that fast, because I'm not sure what scenario it's going to take for him to overcome the likes of journalism at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Barnes is a head scratcher for me after that last one because he did have everything his own way. I don't know. I think this horse definitely has a ton of talent. I think this horse is more than a lock, knowing that he's owned by Zidane, that he will be in the starting gate in the Kentucky Derby. This was always the point. Obviously, they shipped Barnes out for the 5.5 furlong maiden event at Churchill. This is always the goal. So I think even if he doesn't want a mile and a quarter, he's going to be in that gate. Yeah, the 105 buyer, obviously that's fantastic. That is the second best of any horse still on the Derby trail. And it's third behind Cornucopian, who ran a 106 on debut. And then journalism, obviously, at the top with a 108. You can look that up. I'm not lying.
That was a 102 or something. I don't know about that one.
I saw 106 on Saturday or Sunday. But anyway, yeah, Barnes ran really interesting. I'll get to that one later as he is in my top 10. I want to touch on Sandman. This is a horse I think a mile and a quarter might ultimately be too short for him. I think the Belmont's at a mile and a quarter, so that stinks. But I think that's going to be.
Just ignore him.
I will. Yeah, I gotta ignore Noah in the comments for sure. It's fun to throw a little bro up there. He needs some attention. But yeah. Sandman, I think he wants a mile and a half. A mile and a quarter, I think definitely fits his can fit his profile if the pace up front is quick enough. And in the Derby, you are going to get that pace. They always seem to fly just with so many horses. A lot of them like to be front runners. So I think Sandman's going to have a chance. Last time out, a bit of a head scratcher. He broke well, but he still finished the race kind of in that exact same way. He was away from the rest of the field, but still kind of well behind the winner. So I don't know what to make of Sandman. That's why he's kind of muddled up in the middle of my top 10, because I do think he has a ton of talent. I just need to see him take another step forward.
I'll ran in your parade a little bit, and as well as Charlie Freeman, who's a good friend of ours. I know he's got a big Derby future on him. This horse has had 2 straight incredible setups, and he hasn't been able to take advantage of them. So how is he gonna do it in Kentucky when he's gonna have a lot more traffic and he's gonna face a lot better horses? That's a big concern for me.
It is going to be a concern for sure. That's why I do want to see him take a step forward in his next Derby prep, assuming he gets one. I assume that's going to be the Arkansas Derby. I would like to see him, hopefully win, maybe finish a good second, and that'll give me some confidence. But he's another one. I think they're maybe just bringing along slowly, and they'll have him ready, on the big day, and they just want to get some good B+ kind of efforts out of him. But maybe that's digging a little too deep. We'll go to number 5. Jackson, you and I are in lockstep on this one and on the next one. But take it away for the Wilkes trainee, Burnham Square.
Yeah, this one, he disappointed me on Saturday. He was kind of my top of the list for the Derby going into last weekend. I thought he'd done everything.
You were huge correctly on this horse.
I was huge on him. He checked all the boxes. He had overcome trouble. He'd overcome a lot of different things, traffic, pace scenarios, whatever. And he ran a really weird race on Saturday because he looked like a couple different times he was completely done. He was getting shoved. And then a couple of different times he looked like he was coming again, and then he would stop. It was weird. I don't know how he got third. So I really didn't know what to do with that race. I have him as high still just because before that he was so impressive to me that I want to give him another chance. Maybe it was just a bad day. I think someone suggested maybe they need a little equipment change, maybe blinkers, different type of blinkers. Again, he was really impressive before that. I want to give him another chance just because overall I think he's still one of the top prospects coming into the Derby.
Yeah, 100% agree. These horses, I don't know, maybe I'm contrarian here, but off those bad efforts, if it's just a horse just clearly didn't fire their best shot, but they've already done something productive at that distance like Burnham Square has, I'm not going to downgrade it a huge touch unless they they walk home. But he just didn't fire his A race, and that's okay. He didn't need to fire his A race. He's got enough points where I mean, he's going to need a couple more to be really sure, but he's pretty borderline for being in the gate already. I believe he's sitting he's sitting at number 9 with 30 points right now, so he is in the gate. You'd have to imagine 30 points is going to get you in there. So, yeah, I mean, that wasn't his best effort, no doubt about it. We'll see him in the Florida Derby. Hopefully he takes another step forward and builds on that, on that bad effort, shows everybody his, one of his better sides of racing. And then I think come Derby Day, that can put him in the right spot.
Yep.
We'll go to number 4. This is a race a number where you and I again are in lockstep. Yeah, I mean, Kaylee, our Big Hoof Energy co-host. Yeah, shout out to Kaylee. Kaylee was all over this horse basically since the Street Sense win, but definitely this past Saturday in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. So, yeah, Sovereignty, you can take it away.
Yeah, I have him at 4 just because he wasn't nearly as fast as some of the other performances we saw this past weekend. I think it got downgraded to a 95, I believe. I think originally it was 98 buyer, down to 95. Time form has it the equivalent of about 93. So it was definitely a lot slower than the other 2 preps we saw this past weekend. But it was his first start of the year. He did it from dead last at Gulfstream, and he's supposed to take a step forward in his race number 2. I would assume that's probably the Florida Derby. He should keep improving. My one concern is he just comes from so far back there. I don't really think that's what you want to do come Derby Day. So I hope in the Florida Derby he's a little bit more tactical than what we saw on Saturday. That'd be my one hope for him.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, at the same time, we saw a horse like Sierra Leone who has that way far back running style, and he did it successfully. He was so green at the time, or so immature. He didn't know how to run straight. That ultimately ended up costing him. But it is possible. But no, I'm with you. It's not the running style you want. However, Sovereignty on that mile and a 16th with the short stretch at Gulfstream Park, he was able to make up that ground and fly and close. And I would just like to say, if they did not adjust the run up, that would have made River Thames win. That was absolutely the difference in the race. So for us to see it take into effect that quickly is pretty funny. But also just to be noted, it looked like Sovereignty was just getting going when he was finishing that race. He finished full of run. He ran out. River Thames, as a heads up, you and I, we don't have him anywhere in our top 10, but I've seen a lot on Twitter from like connections and whatnot that he just shifted into neutral is kind of the sense. So who knows? I mean, he's a very lightly raced horse. That's certainly a possibility, but Burnham Square Sovereignty finished off great. And I'm really looking forward to this one coming back. And if he can build on that last effort, he is going to be a major threat. Yeah. Next up at number 3, this was a shocker for me to see on your part. You have Flood Zone, who just won up at Aqueduct, I believe first time in the barn of Brad Cox with our man Raylu Gutierrez in the saddle.
Yeah, I'm assuming you don't have him anywhere, which kind of surprised me. I kind of struggled to know what to do with him because I feel like I could make a case for him here, but I could also make a strong case he should be like 9 or 10 as well. He's another one I'm kind of just banking on the upside because he was legit. He was pretty impressive on Saturday, and it wasn't like he beat a scrub. He beat Sand Devil is the name for Linda, who was consistently run mid 90s buyers around one turn, who probably wants one turn, but he beat Sand Devil at his own game. He did it going the lead. He got a really fast number. I think the time form I have right here is a 102 buyer equivalent, and I think the buyer was right around 100. So those 2 check out. They confirmed that it's probably pretty safe assumption that's where it was going to be. And that was a day where they had a lot of mile races, so you can kind of compare. It's a number you can probably trust pretty safely. That was, his 3rd career start, first time in the Brad Cox barn. He's bred to go even longer. He's got tactical speed. What's not to like about him? He's done absolutely nothing wrong, and he's going to be a little bit forgotten, I think, because that performance came at Aqueduct. But if you're just looking at the clock itself and how he's looked so far, I think he's right up there with the best of them at this point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you look at the number, isolated, then sure. But I don't know. I didn't love that race this past weekend up in New York. And I know, obviously, we're buddies with a bunch of people at New York, Kaylee, Matthew, Andy, everybody like that. And so I'm not trying to trash any New York breds. They're very talented, but we didn't see the deepest field of open competition that he is going to face on Derby Day. So I would like to see him do it again, versus some proven horses around 2 turns, preferably. So that's why I don't have Flood Zone anywhere. I do think he is a very talented horse, and certainly with a step forward going around 2 turns, he could absolutely catapult himself into my into my top 5 there. But ultimately at number 3, I ended up with Barnes. The 105 buyer last time, losing to Journalism. You touched on him a little bit ago at number 6. I mean, yeah, he's going to be in the Derby gate. He's going to run the first Saturday in May, obviously, so long as he stays healthy. So just based off that, I think that mixed with he has clearly shown the talent. I'm not convinced that he wants a mile and a quarter, but I do think that he does have the talent to get him that far. He's going to have to work out the kind of trip. And I mean, I think he's able to rate his speed. So I know he had everything his own way. I think maybe he just wants a target. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing Barnes run again on Santa Anita Derby Day. Yeah, I'm big on this horse. I'm not going to bet him on the Derby on Derby Day because he's going to be 4 to 5, and that's an awful bet. Well, maybe not anymore.
Kentucky Derby?
No, maybe not anymore. Sorry. Well, if he romps in the Santa Anita Derby, who knows? But no, he's actually.
I'll take that bet right now.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be 4 to 5. But he is going to be too short of a price for me. We're not getting. I mean, I can't imagine we get over 5 to 1, right?
It depends what he does in his next start.
All right.
But he won't be 4 to 5, I'll guarantee you that.
What's that?
He won't be 4 to 5, though, I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, no, he won't. Never mind. I'm not even going to put up the comment. That's number 3. I'll move on to number 2 right now. I have Cole Battle. Jackson, you have Tappan Street. Tappan Street, obviously talented runner for Brad Cox at his debut down at Gulfstream Park. Go ahead, take it away.
No, you got to go. The fire alarm's going off.
Yeah, it is. All right, so I'm going to lead it off because I guess there's a fire alarm. I hope there's no fire over at Jackson's place, but I'll take Cole Battle. This horse has done everything so great. He's such a mature runner. He's passed horses. He's handled trouble. He's kind of, he's tactical. He's won from on the pace. He's won from off the pace. He's passed horses with a purpose, and he is. Sorry, I'll throw up the comment real quick from Alex Suarez. Do the Younger Muniz bros have the pick 4 at Turfway today? I certainly hope so, so they can stay hot. But to continue on, Cole Battle, obviously, he's going to be the story of the Derby going in for such low-profile connections. Out of Cole front, I mean, I don't know if he seems to love the distance, so I'm not going to question it too much, but I'm excited to see this one run. This is such a cool story. It's what makes the best part of racing. So obviously I had to pick him in front of the $3.2 million purchase. Jackson, are we still 5 alarm going off over there? Are we good?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead for Tappan Street.
Tappan Street, yeah. You talked about it earlier. I really don't ever play the futures, but I'm seriously considering doing one for this horse. I think he's still 45 to 1. And I think he's really good. I loved his first start. We kind of talked about it when we had David Earl going on, and I'd said in his debut, like, never watched the replay until like right before his second race, and I watched it. I knew he already won, and I'm watching the race. He's coming around the quarter pole, and he's just completely getting shoved upon. He's going backwards. I'm like, how the heck does this horse win from here? And he just kind of kicked in second gear as soon as they hit the top of the stretch, blew by that field. Won really impressively going 7. He looked like a horse that was going to run all day long. The field he beat that day came back to be really productive. A lot of next out winners, a lot of next out buyer improvements. And then, they kind of threw him to the wolves in the second start. They put him in the Fountain of Youth. I always get my Gulfstream races mixed up. Whatever race it was he was in. Kind of did the dirty work, had a wide trip, made the first move around the turn into the hot pace. And no shame in finishing second. Again, part of the reason is I'm very high on Burnham Square as well. And those two kicked clear by 10 lengths. And that was just his second start. I thought he had some trouble in there with Brad Cox. You can pretty safely assume he's going to continue to improve with more racing. We're going to see where he winds up next. But I think 45 to 1 is a pretty crazy price on a horse that I think is very, very talented.
Definitely, I would agree. It is the Holy Bull.
Holy Bull. Thank you.
That's okay. We're all just learning out here. So
no, I should know that by now.
I do agree that Tappan Street is a great runner, as Jackson's fire alarm is going crazy, which works because we've gotten a number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this horse first. That is Journalism. I mean, this horse came back in such a major way this past weekend. That was ultra impressive. If you watch Pacific Horse Players on the HHH Racing Channel and Noah Maher as your host, I read off that I had texted Michael McCarthy to just kind of ask how he was doing journalism. And obviously, Michael McCarthy had one of the best big cap weekends in recent memory, sweeping all the stakes, winning the nightcap, 4 wins total, and Noah to boot with a pretty hilarious tweet towards the end. But yeah, the message from journalism was that, not fully cranked up, expecting him to run a good race. So, I mean, just based off that, and for him to run out of his shoes, actually, while we're on that topic, Barnes ran out of his shoes. I forgot to mention that he lost a shoe at the start, according to Bob. So that might be something to note going forward. But to stick on, sorry, I'm reading the comment section and Noah is just acting a fool in there. So journalism, though, came out and his stride is that of a horse that definitely wants a mile and a quarter. He's bred for it. He's going to love it. I'm really excited to see this horse come back in the Santa Anita Derby. He's got 47.5 points. He's in the gate as long as he stays healthy. I want to see this one run back. And I mean, Derby Day, this might be your favorite. If he wins the Santa Anita Derby, I think this is your favorite on Kentucky Derby Day. What say you, Jackson?
Yeah, I think he's clearly the favorite as of right now. So as of today, March 5th. Since we're plugging other shows, make sure after this you go ahead and pull up the interview we did with Michael McCarthy. PTF did it, so just look up in the Money Media. Michael McCarthy interview was posted a couple hours ago. Talks about journalism this past weekend and all his other winners. He had a lot on Saturday. I think he won 4 or 5 races. It was a lot. So go ahead and check that out. You covered it. He's the fastest horse right now. He's very tactical, but he doesn't need the lead, obviously. He's going to come from right behind, and that's kind of that's usually the winning formula in the Kentucky Derby. So, at this point, he's clearly the one to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah, he absolutely is. That was an absolutely mind-blowing effort, and it
can't believe he won.
Yeah, and it speaks to how good he was with the fact that everybody just immediately thought Barnes ran a bad race because journalism passed him, and then it comes back that Barnes actually ran one of the best buyer speed figures that we've seen of this 3-year-old season, and journalism just had it that day. And you can look at it a multitude of different ways. But journalism right now, any way you slice it, is the top horse. Go ahead.
For what it's worth, Timeform had it about 6 points slower. But even if it is 6 points slower, it's still 102 in March in a race that he was kind of just getting started in. And he overcame a very good horse on a completely lone lead. So he's very good.
Yeah, he is devastatingly good. This was pretty fun. I enjoyed doing this. I know it's awful early, one might say, as we're about 2 months away, actually a little less than 2 months away from the first Saturday in May that is Derby Day. But this was a ton of fun. Real quick, I don't think we're going to talk about it this week, but the field for the Azeri Stakes is obviously out, and that's at Oaklawn. So we have the return of Torpedo Anna. Kaylee texted in our group chat a little bit earlier, is anybody going to run within 5 lengths of Torpedo? And honestly, I thought maybe if anybody else of substance showed up in that race, you might be able to beat Torpedo. But looking at that field, there's no shot. She's going to win by a country mile. What say you?
Yeah, this is going to piss off Kaylee and probably a lot of other people. I'm very excited and the right opportunity to try to beat Torpedo Anna at some point this year. I think she's a little overrated. Saturday is not the day, though. That field is terrible. She should win by the length of the stretch. So don't do it on Saturday.
Overrated is something I did not think I would hear when it comes to Torpedo Anna. That's quite a statement.
Line, but
sorry,
we'll get into that down the line. But I do think she's overrated.
Look, I'm with you. I think unless I'm mistaken, I think she'd be beatable this year. She's going to face a field that's somewhere along the line and she's going to lose a race. But it's not going to be this Saturday in the Azeri. She's just tons the best. She's going to be so much better than this field, but I'm
scared to read that text.
Anyway. Yeah, I certainly would be. Look, I'm with you. I think that at some point this year there is going to be, that up and coming kind of older division horse that could pose a bit of a threat. But as of right now, it's Torpedo's world, and we're all just living in it. So for anybody that hasn't seen the field, Alpine Princess, Jody's Pride, Wild Bout Hillary, Recharge, Free Like a Girl, Bow Draw are all in the field. Torpedo's worst race last year was a 93, and the highest in the field last year was, I believe, a 96. So, I mean, if Torpedo goes out and does anything really, she's gonna win in convincing fashion. So I'm excited to see her run back. She's one of those horses that's really good for the sport. Obviously, the return of Sierra Leone Fierceness, we're obviously eagerly anticipating, but they're 4-year-olds now, so we care less about them because it's all about the Derby season. And we just presented our top 10. I'll go through it one more time. At number 10, Jackson has Chancer. I have Cornucopian. At number 9, I have Chancer, Jackson Citizen Bull. At number 8, I have John Hancock, and Jackson has Hypnus. At number 7, I have Built. Jackson has Coal Battle. Number 6, I have Sandman. Jackson has Barnes. Number 5 for real, we both have Burnham Square. Number 4, we both have Sovereignty. Number 3, I have Barnes. Jackson has Flood Zone. Number 2, I have Coal Battle, and then Jackson has Tappan Street. And of course, number 1, the leader in the division, that is Journalism. This is a quick little show, but that was fun to do. Again, please tune in tomorrow. We're going for 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Bit of a late show tomorrow, but it's going to be myself, Jackson, Kaylee for Big Hoof Energy. We're going to be going over the cross-country pick 5. Should be a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Jackson, any parting words?
Nope. We're good.
All right. Well,
see you tomorrow.
Until what?
See you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night. Go bet Turfway, everybody, because it's always a great time. It's a Wednesday. So until tomorrow, see you later.